Let me tell you something most men learn too late. A woman doesn't leave because she stopped loving you. She leaves because, at the moment she needed you the most, you didn't understand who she was becoming. And that's the part nobody teaches. Because a woman's heart doesn't stay the same. It evolves, it stretches, it deepens with time. And there are 3 specific ages in her life where your presence as a man is not just important, it's defining. Age 1, when she is becoming herself. This is the phase where she's full of dreams, but unsure of her direction. She smiles, but questions herself. She looks confident, but battles doubt in silence. At this age, she doesn't need control. She doesn't need pressure. And she definitely doesn't need a man trying to shape her into something she's not. She needs belief. A man who sees her potential before the world recognizes it. A man who doesn't compete with her growth, but protects it. Because here's the reality. If you become the reason she feels stronger, she will remember you with respect. But if you become the reason she feels small, she will outgrow you without looking back. Age 2, when life becomes real. This is where everything changes. Love is no longer just excitement. It becomes responsibility. Dreams meet reality, and emotions meet pressure. This is where many men fail. Not because they don't care, but because they don't understand. They think showing up physically is enough. But what she's searching for is emotional security. She needs a man who stays calm when life gets chaotic, who doesn't disappear when things get heavy, who doesn't turn love into stress. At this stage, she's quietly asking, is this a man I can rely on? Or someone I'll have to carry along? And listen carefully. A woman can handle struggle, but she will never stay where she feels alone. Age 3. When she chooses peace over everything now, comes the most powerful transformation. She's no longer chasing attention. She's no longer impressed by words. She's experienced enough to see through everything. And now, she values one thing above all, peace. At this stage, she doesn't need perfection. She doesn't need games. She doesn't need promises you can't keep. She needs presence. A man who listens without ego, who respects her journey, who understands that love is no longer about proving strength, but about creating calm. Because after everything she's been through, she's not afraid of being alone. She's afraid of being with someone who makes her feel alone. So understand this truth. It's not about being the best man in the world. It's about being the man who understands her at the stage she's in, because her needs will change, her heart will grow, her expectations will deepen, and the man who evolves with her, the man who listens, learns, and adapts, is the one she never forgets. Not because he was perfect, but because he showed up the right way, at the moment it mattered the most. A woman's emotional needs are not fixed. They evolve as she moves through different stages of life, shaped by her experiences, responsibilities, and self-awareness. In her early years, she is often navigating identity, ambition, and uncertainty. At this point, what she values most is encouragement and belief. She is drawn to someone who sees her potential clearly, even when she is still figuring herself out. Support during this phase is less about control and more about allowing her the space to grow while quietly reinforcing her confidence. As she transitions into adulthood, her priorities begin to shift. Life becomes more structured, and decisions carry long-term consequences. Here, emotional needs deepen. Stability, reliability, and emotional security take center stage. She begins to value consistency over excitement and trust over temporary attraction. What matters most is having a partner who can stand firm during challenges, communicate clearly, and share responsibilities without creating imbalance or pressure. Later in life, after facing both successes and disappointments, her perspective matures further. She becomes more selective with her energy and increasingly values peace over chaos. At this stage, emotional connection is defined by understanding, respect, and calm presence. She no longer seeks validation in the same way. Instead, she appreciates authenticity and emotional safety. Recognizing these evolving needs is essential because meaningful connection is built not on assumptions, but on the ability to grow alongside her changing emotional world. True value in a relationship is not measured by how often someone is physically present, but by how deeply they understand the emotional landscape of the person they are with. Presence without awareness can feel empty, while genuine understanding creates a sense of connection that goes far beyond words. Many people assume that simply being there, spending time, providing support, or fulfilling responsibilities is enough. But what truly strengthens a bond is the ability to recognize unspoken feelings, to listen without defensiveness, and to respond with empathy rather than assumption. As a woman grows and her experiences shape her perspective, her emotional needs become more layered. What comforted her in one stage of life may not resonate in another. This is where adaptability becomes essential. A meaningful partner pays attention, not just to what is said, but to what is felt. He notices shifts in her behavior, understands the pressures she may not openly express, and adjusts his approach accordingly. This does not mean losing oneself, but rather developing emotional awareness and maturity. Understanding also requires patience. It involves asking questions, being open to feedback, and accepting that growth is continuous. When a man takes the time to truly understand a woman's evolving emotional state, he creates an environment where trust can deepen naturally. In such a space, communication becomes more honest, conflicts become easier to resolve, and the relationship gains a sense of stability that is not easily shaken. Ultimately, it is this depth of understanding, not mere presence, that builds a connection capable of lasting through change and time. In the end, meaningful connection is not built on assumptions or routine. It is built on awareness, growth, and intention. As a woman's emotional needs evolve over time, the strength of a relationship depends on the ability to recognize those changes and respond with understanding rather than habit. Simply being present is not enough. What matters is the quality of that presence, whether it brings clarity, support, and emotional security. When someone chooses to listen deeply, adapt thoughtfully, and remain patient through change, they create a bond that feels both stable and genuine. This kind of connection does not rely on constant validation or surface-level effort. It is rooted in mutual respect and emotional insight. Over time, it becomes a space where both individuals can grow without feeling misunderstood or alone. Ultimately, lasting relationships are shaped by those who are willing to evolve alongside each other. It is this willingness to understand, rather than just exist beside one another, that transforms ordinary presence into something truly meaningful and enduring.